I'm just getting a message here, sorry, with from the studio. We've got these pictures from Israel, from Tel Aviv. Let's go back to our Fox affiliates.
Corner store has things like paper towels and flip-flops and batteries, things that people would need if they're living in this area of Tel Aviv. And it has been completely destroyed. Like I said before, this is an area that is packed with civilians. There are no military locations close to where we are. We will have more information to report hopefully later in the day about the significance of this area. I don't want to get into it now, but people will talk about it later today, certainly. In terms of what happens now, these first responders will stay on the scene. They'll try to gather as much information as they can from people who came out of these buildings to know if anyone was trapped. And just give me 1 second. Stay with me here. סליחה? 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 מה אתה מדבר אנגלית? Anglית, a little bit? Can you just tell us a little bit about the scene here and what you've seen since you arrived? A little bit in English. We're live to America. What should people know? Just in English, Anglית.
No, introduce it.
And what should people know about what happened here?
There is a missile hit in the street, and there is a damage for some building. We take off all the fire and search after injuries and trampled people.
Are you worried that there could be people under the rubble?
Yeah, until we not get into the building, we are still worried that there is some people.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. And so you can see this is a local fire personnel. There are medics on the scene, but he just there talked about what is the biggest concern right now, Ashley, and that is the possibility that there are people trapped under the rubble and debris from these collapsed buildings. And that's really in the minutes and hours ahead, and these are critical minutes because if people are injured and they survive the initial blast, they want to get to them as quickly as possible. In the distance, they're currently setting up a tent. We have seen this tent before, and this tent is used for people to check in the neighborhood, and they will give their names and they will give their addresses and any relatives or friends or family members that they have in the area to ensure that they can account for everyone. Right now, there are people unaccounted for. You heard directly from that local fire chief. Still, as we speak right now, Ashley, and you're going to see it in a moment, they are bringing in stretchers, preparing for the worst. We'll be very careful about what we show you here live. And in the distance, there are ambulances, and they're waiting to just see. And here's one of those orange stretchers that's being taken in by these first responders on the scene who immediately rushed to this site. Again, when we arrived here, everything was on fire. You couldn't even see the buildings. There were so many flames. As the firefighters got them extinguished, we started to gather more about what happened here, which was clearly a direct hit of an Iranian ballistic missile. Ashley.
Yeah, and I just want to point out to anyone who's watching, whatever you're seeing on your screen behind Trey and the damage, whatever it looks like in this scene, it is a million times worse in real life where Trey is. You couldn't even fathom to explain and describe. I mean, you're doing a great job of describing what you're seeing, Trey, and we obviously want you to stay safe. And it's hard to see and it's hard to watch. It's hard to talk about. But also, I want to talk about these first responders. They are worn completely thin doing this. What have they been telling you with the first responders and the crews, the rescue crews that you're talking to? How are they feeling? Because this is very tough on them.
Yeah, Ashley, it's all hands on deck for these crews. They are using the Army and first responder units in the Army to respond to these scenes. And I talked to a few guys yesterday at a different site in central Israel, guys about my age, and I said, look, are you guys in the Army all the time? And they said, no, we're in what's called Miluim, reserve duty here. And they worked in high-tech jobs in Tel Aviv, and they have gone into the Army. They were called up because of this war that has now erupted between Israel and Iran. And they were at a site basically saying, we never thought we were going to have to use these skills, just given the fact that their unit is an emergency unit in the Army. It's a last resort for when other teams are overwhelmed, firefighters and medics in the area. And so the fact that they were called up and responding to scenes, digging through rubble, looking for survivors, it speaks to just how challenging this moment is for Israel. And again, as we speak, the Israelis are continuing airstrikes against positions inside of Iran. And Iranian officials earlier in the day, just yesterday, talked about the fact that they're not willing to stop firing these ballistic missiles. And the Israelis have indicated they're not willing to stop striking Iran. So this is far from over. And the reality is that these major population centers like Tel Aviv are going to continue to pay a very heavy price with these missiles raining down. When this explosion happened, we were in a shelter in Tel Aviv, relatively far from here, not walking distance, and it shook the entire building that we were in. And I talked to a few people I know that live around here, and they said something terrible has happened. They could hear it, they could feel it. When these strikes happen, it shakes the ground, and it destroys all of the buildings in its path, in the blast radius of something like this. And again, as we get more light here, the scene is coming into reality. The aftermath of this strike is coming into reality. And as you heard from that fire chief directly, Ashley, their biggest concern is that there are Israeli civilians trapped under the rubble.
Trey, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but I'm seeing a baby that looks probably about 8 months old being brought out, and it is absolutely heartbreaking.
We're going to actually move positions if you can stay with us here.
Yeah, of course. They're bringing babies out. They're bringing kids out. I mean, this is just from what I'm seeing in your shot now. I'm sure there's tons of children being brought out with their families that you're seeing right now.
We're leaving. Yes, and that's part of what we're trying to do here is get a better picture of that. And it's a bit of negotiation here with these first responders. Of course, it's a very tense scene. But when you move in these areas, their biggest concern is that there are buildings that could collapse. There are... And Toda. Okay, just 1 second. Stay with me, Ashley. Toda Rabba. And just stay with me, Ashley. We're trying to get to that area that you are discussing where people are being taken. And so we're just walking here in Tel Aviv. But again, you're going to see the tent that I talked about as we walk by here. And actually, this is important to explain as we're live here, Ashley. The tent off to my right here is used by teams that are trained in first response. They have computers and they have information about the local residents so that they can try to start accounting for people. And just stay with me here, Ashley, because we just need to watch where we're going. You're going to see a lot of first responders in this area. These are the teams that are waiting for people that are being taken out.
Are these medic teams,
and just give me 1 moment. Yes, these are medic teams, and I'm going to just show you a different vantage point here. You can see down here, these are all medics from United Hatzalah. And just stay with me. I just need to talk to the team for 1 second, Ashley. We're going to stand right here. Okay, here, beseder? No, beseder. And so we're just moving back a little bit here as these teams continue to work. But I'll just show you a little bit more damage across the street here, Ashley. Again, this speaks to the blast radius when these things happen. And just be mindful of some of these signs, Yaniv. Shoot this direction. And if you look down here, you're going to see a lot of damage to storefronts. You can hear those alarms that are going off. And we won't stay in this location too long as to not to keep it so loud. But again, behind me in the distance, there are teams still going through this debris, looking for any survivors that may be trapped still under the rubble.